Welcome back to Insights from the Couch, Mental Health at Midlife. Today is a very special episode because we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of podcasting. In fact, the literal 1-year anniversary is tomorrow. We started on June 5th, 2024 with our podcast launch party. In a way, it feels like 4 minutes ago, and in another way, it feels like an eternity. I can't believe we've ever not been doing this. So we've got some exciting things to share with you today in terms of how to bring your big ideas to life without having it all figured out. So you're going to want to listen to this one until the end. We're going to share some stories, but really geared toward helping you get your big idea off the ground.
Yeah, I cannot even believe it's been a year.
I know.
I mean, we've been doing this for a year, like 50 episodes.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's not just the 1-year anniversary. It's our 50th episode. It coincided beautifully. And what's crazy that I think we're going to dive into a little is that I hadn't remembered this at first, but you were like, we should really do a podcast. And we ran with it. We did not know what the fuck we were doing in any way, shape, or form, right? We're both technologically, let me be diplomatic,
way beyond behind the curve.
Yes.
But this has been so good for that. I feel like I'm learning my way around my computer in ways I never would have.
Well, except for the fact that I still have to prop up my microphone for every episode. Yeah, we've come a long way. But I think the cool thing is that, I remember I was writing my proposal for my book, for a nonfiction book. You have to write a lengthy proposal with a business plan and a summary of every chapter. And, mine was 114 pages. So it's like basically almost as long. It's a novella. And now I can remember exactly where I was sitting when you said we should do this. And I was like, oh my God, we should.
Said, we should.
Yeah. Why aren't we?
It's because I listen to 6 podcasts a day.
Yeah.
And at some point you're like, well, I could do this. We could do this. And then we're like these people who think that our conversations are somehow exceptional.
Because they are.
But we're like, it's like when you think your kids are the cutest. We think our conversations are the best.
Right. At least we're aware we may be delusional. And you know what? Success is often due to a big fat pie of delusion. Believing in yourself and your greatness is not a bad thing.
That one's still hard for me.
I know.
I have a hard time with the delusional confidence, but even just this has been such a great lesson in practicing, which I can get behind.
And commitment. And that's a big part of it, is that once we decided, and in fact, it seems so long ago now, I wanted to call it, what did I want to call it? Friends with Therapists, riff off Friends with Benefits, that I still love that title. But we found out somebody else had started a podcast with that title. And even though they didn't follow through, that could bring up legal concerns. So now it seems so natural and we're so in a flow of doing this, but it was daunting at first, even though it was a clear yes from both of us. And I think there was a void in the space out there of a really strong voice for women at midlife that's empowered and holistic and isn't just mental health, but is all of the things mental health touches in our lives. Our successes, our well-being, our physical health, our friendships, our relationships. So we really wanted to break, because that's all we talk about, really. We don't ever talk about small talk bullshit, ever. Right?
Yeah.
Or
life,
for 2
love,
seconds.
And the pursuit of happiness is all we ever talk about.
Yes. And overcoming fear and existential issues. So it did seem worthy to bring these conversations and build a community for women to have these conversations.
Yeah. Do you remember when we first started and we were like, okay, let's meet next weekend and we're going to buy a course that's going to teach us how to do a podcast?
Yes. And we never did it.
No, and we were so overwhelmed by the equipment we'd need to own. And we had no idea like how we were going to make it work. Were we going to be in the same room together? Like what platform? What did we need headphones? Like we were so confused.
You know, when you say all of that, I think about how much we have figured out. And I think this is one of the big takeaways we want to give to you guys today is that as therapists and as women who started a podcast and didn't know what we were doing, or even if it would go anywhere, we didn't anticipate being a top 5% podcast. You know, we had no idea if it would be like our mothers and like our daughters listening.
Well, I don't think my mother listens.
Mine does.
That's hilarious.
But, you know, we weren't anticipating that it would be, we weren't thinking it wouldn't be. We just didn't know, but we committed to doing it anyway. And I think the big key is that we started before we felt ready.
Yes. Yes. We started like scared. We started like just jumping in and saying like, it's going to be whatever it is.
Right. And we're doing it no matter what.
Yes.
And we're going to bring our authentic selves to the process, and the people with whom it resonates will listen, and, you know, hopefully we'll find our audience. And of course that's happened, but there was no guarantee. And I think it could have been easy to keep saying, okay, let's spend, you know, a year ideating. You can really get stuck in that phase of thrashing with your ideas and telling yourself, okay, as soon as this milestone happens, then I'll start. And what we want to say today is don't wait for that. The best way to get clarity and to learn and to figure it out is to start really messy, start scared, fuck up a lot. That is the only way.
Yeah, there's the line of like, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing badly, which like most women are like, no, that's not the line. It's like, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing really well. And I think this is the thing I see in women more than I see certainly in men. And I don't mean to make it a gender thing, but it is that women are so about getting it right. Like I'm in this like health coaching thing right now. And every woman's like, yeah, I've never coached anyone, but I'm going to get like multiple degrees first. Like I'm going to get multiple certificates before I feel ready to do the thing. And they never get around to doing the thing because confidence is made in the doing.
Yep.
It's not something you can get beforehand and then do the thing.
Right. You're so right. I think this is why, you know, 60% of women have imposter syndrome. Very few men have imposter syndrome. Society, look at even the way men sit, right? I mean, I realize they have like a big organ and balls dangling there, and that's part of it. But part of it also is like, I get to take up space, right? They man spread. And they just like open their legs and they feel where I'm always sitting like, yes, shrunken, your legs have to be it's like the demure thing. And I'm not really demure at all. But it's just interesting the way we are cultivated and raised to doubt ourselves, to be humble to the point of self-flagellation.
Yeah.
So it is a hard sell. And I guess you don't really have to feel confident. I always say this, you just have to be willing. You have to be willing to take action without confidence. And you could argue that's what courage is, right? Taking a leap. It's easy to say these things and what sound like social media sound bites, but it's also easy to endorse them intellectually or philosophically. But when it comes to the nitty gritty day to day, if there's something out there that you want even a little bit and you're not sure you can do it or you're not sure where it will go, that's okay. But it's worth exploring and taking some small action to dabble in it, test the waters, you know, and be willing to be bad at it, like you said.
Yeah.
Because that's like how you get better.
Willingness is like such an underrated attribute. I was actually writing my daughter her graduation letter because she graduated from college a weekend ago. And the one thing that I see with like my daughter is that she has always had such profound willingness, like to try out for teams when there was no guarantee she'd make it, to show up for like outward bound trips when she had like, she was being dropped in like Yosemite, like, you know, with a shovel to like poop in the ground. Like, and she was just willing to do it. And she's willing to like apply for jobs. And I'm like, you can't teach people that. So like, it's like being practice willingness to just be somewhere and to start
Yeah.
is like it's halfway. It's even beyond the starting
It's
line.
probably the biggest part of the battle. And I'm thinking about it as you say this because I see some of that in my kids too. But I do think you can teach willingness. I think you can condition the muscle. I don't even think it's about teaching. I think it's just about doing, because when I look back on myself in my younger years, I didn't have a lot of willingness. Now, I took big risks in certain areas
That's
that
so hard for me to believe.
Well, I think I did in certain capacities. Like I would apply for jobs. I would throw myself into experiences where I didn't know anyone. You know, I did a lot of things. Like I went to camps in another country where I didn't know a single person. You know, I did that summer program at Cornell, and my roommate was an inmate who had been like
What?
released from juvie. Yeah. I never told you this.
No.
So real fast, I did. It's kind of interesting, especially when you realize it comes down to cigarettes. So I applied for this summer program at Cornell University because I wanted to be a veterinarian. Now, I wanted to be a veterinarian because I love animals, but the fact that I can't even look at a sliver of blood literally without wanting to vomit did not bode well for a career in medicine. So in the morning, it was very cool because they had a huge veterinary medicine. They have one of the top veterinary schools in the country.
Yeah.
They had a program for architecture. They had a program for engineering. And I think it was like international politics or something. And there were about 700 high school students from around the country and even some international who lived in this set of dorms on one part of Cornell's campus. And we were there for like 8 weeks or something. And it was the summer between either my sophomore and junior and senior year of high school. And so in the morning, you could take 2 classes that would go toward your college degree. I took creative writing and theater. And then in the afternoon, I spent from 1 to 5 o'clock every day during the week at the vet school, mostly doing necropsies, animal autopsies.
Sounds so fun.
Yeah. And I would come out in like a hazmat suit looking like Carrie, covered in blood. Like I'll never forget the horse's esophagus bouncing out of its throat when they slit it like a huge vacuum cleaner. And I was like, my dad kept saying, oh, you know, my dad's a doctor. You get used to the blood eventually. I'm like, I don't know. Basically, what I learned is I shouldn't be anyone's doctor, right? Like that was the wrong, even like a rat. Okay.
Yeah.
No. So, but I loved the creative writing and I loved the theater. So anyway, when you're filling out the application, 700 students, keep this in mind. There's a place, because this is in, I don't know, 1989, 1990, that says, do you smoke cigarettes? Well, at the time, I was a diehard smoker. So were many people. But most people didn't have the balls to say they wanted a smoking room on their application that parents might see. I wrote smoking, and I remember arguing with my parents about it. And I was like, whatever, I'm a smoker and you can't stop me and you have to accept it. Well, only like 8 people out of 700 checked smoking.
Including an inmate.
Yes. So this girl, inmate is a little harsh, but there was a program through Boys Town, which is a wonderful organization, where kids that had gotten in some trouble and had been in like some kind of juvenile facility could be rehabilitated and given a chance to have access to this wonderful school. So it was great. My roommate was super sweet, but she made friends with all these people in downtown Ithaca who were super sketchy, and they were constantly in my room doing drugs. And like, it was insane. So I was like scared half the time in my room.
That was like even beyond like your comfort level, right?
Right, right. But I ended up being friends with all of them. It was super chill. But looking back, I'm like, only I would end up at Cornell at this like prestigious program with this fucked up roommate.
Yeah.
So I put
Because of cigarettes.
Right, because of cigarettes. So anyway, those are the kind of risks I took. But the point that I'm going to make here is that those risks weren't really out of my comfort zone. I've always been adventurous when it comes to people. Risks that I was uncomfortable with, I didn't take until later in life. And I think that's the big thing. You and I talk about this a lot. It comes down to distress tolerance.
Yeah, say more about that. I want to know where you're going with this because I have a whole relationship with this that, I mean, I think I'm a little unlike you. I'm much more inhibited. And it's been like, I think starting things and taking risks is like doing a box jump for me or like standing at the deep end of the swimming pool being like, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in. One day I'm going to jump in. And like, I like really overthink things. So tell me what you're thinking about distress tolerance.
So I'm really glad to hear you say that. I'm not sure I know what a box jump is. So I'm
where you're
distracted.
standing there and you like have to like jump on the box and you're not sure you're going to do it without like busting your knees.
Now I know why I don't know what a box jump is.
Okay. But like, you're not sure you're going to get it. And you're like, I think I'm going to get it. And it's a little scary.
No, that
feel like
sounds
a lot
scary.
of my life is a box jump.
Yeah, either jumping up or diving into the pool. So I think that I'm going to jump, I'm going to jump, I'm going to jump, and overthinking. I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. And I'd be lying if I said that didn't happen to me too. There wasn't fear, there wasn't doubt, there wasn't overthinking. In fact, on this trip to Italy, having some space, I could feel certain doubts creeping in about all the things I'm doing. And the negative, fearful ideation, the narration was like, what if you mess up? Like you're climbing and climbing and climbing and you're feeling more confident, but look how high you've climbed. And now the fall could really hurt. And what are you not like you're not scared enough almost. Like it's dangerous to feel safe.
It's funny how that like creeps up as soon as you slow down and like settle into your like, motion. Staying in motion is sometimes like a benevolent thing.
Totally. But the way I talked back to it, which I think is key and builds distress tolerance, is to say, okay, it's normal to have fear. It's normal to have doubt. It's okay. I am taking on a lot. And then I redirect myself. Like I notice the thought. I don't fight the thought away, but I don't lean into the thought. I redirect myself into, I trust myself to like what's valuable. I get curious about what's valuable about that message. And I think what's valuable is to say, I move so fast in everything I do. So I do make a lot more mistakes than some people, but I also get a lot more shit done. So I think part of distress tolerance too is being willing to make mistakes. And what's valuable about the message, like, oh, you should be scared, to me is to say, okay, what can I learn from this part of me that's telling me a fearful story? Okay, maybe I need to slow down a little in some respects. Maybe I need to think some things through a little more thoroughly. Like it's great to do the box jump and the dive into the pool, but sometimes we do need to slow down and think a little.
See, we're so opposite on this.
Yeah.
Like you have to like sort of like bring yourself down or say like maybe we need to be cautious or think through this. That's my default mechanism. That's my default mode. I need more activation energy.
Yeah.
Like I need the kind of thing that like pushes you up on the box or like the thing that compels you into the water. And I've had a really rough time facing those things. Mainly, I think, just to be totally honest, my life has been pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
And I see this a lot in clients, and I know we've talked about it a lot here, is that if you're comfortable, it's really hard to get the necessary activation energy to confront something because it's like you don't have to do anything. And it's like, why would you risk feeling silly or embarrassed or putting yourself out there or trying something if like, or even like, some of these things that I've done in the last couple of years that I don't think are gonna, I just kind of did them reactively. Like I got a real estate license and I got a mortgage broker's license because that's what my husband does. And I did it kind of to help him. But there were years, Colette, that I sat around going, I could probably get a real estate license. And then I'd go, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really cut out for real estate. I'm probably, I mean, I could do real estate if that's what I wanted to do. I don't really want to do real estate.
Right.
But that's not the point. The point is I would sit and tell myself, that test is probably hard. There's probably things on that test that I wouldn't be good at. Like the math is probably a limiting factor for me. It was fine. Once I finally had enough activation energy to confront these things, I got them done. I passed the test easily. It was no big deal.
Right.
And then I thought, I spent 10 years negotiating with myself about whether or not I could do something like that. And that goes for like what we're doing now with the podcast, is that there was no activation energy pushing me toward anything. So I just was like mired in doubt. And I was like, why would I look foolish if I don't need to?
Right.
I lived there for a long time.
I think we all do. I'm so glad you're sharing this because I think that's so relatable. I relate to that from so many things in the past. And this is where it comes down to a couple things, I think. First of all, you have to want the thing you're going to do. And the best life is one in which you live it doing what you love. Right? Truly what you love. And if you can make money somehow, enough money to support yourself and live a secure life, doing something you love, to me, that is the greatest win. That and having good connected relationships. Doesn't have to be romantic, just good people in your life you feel safe with. That's the win. So if you don't really you had a reason eventually to want to be a realtor, right? Helping your husband, whatever.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a reason or a why, or if you didn't want it, then you probably never would do it. I think where people are robbing themselves is there are things they dream about or that they think are exciting or interesting. And the narrative is, I'm too busy. It's not the right time. My kids, I don't know where to start. I wouldn't know how to do that. I probably couldn't make money at that. And I think what I want to say to people is, you know what? You don't know until you try to find out. And the willingness is start researching, call someone who does that on the other side of the world if need be, and ask to do a Zoom, offer them some value in return. I mean, tell them, read their book, like whatever the case may be, start to find out what goes on in that kind of a job or hobby. Dabble in it, like we've talked about before, the active dabble. See if the thing you think you might love lights you up the way you imagine it does. And if you start to take action, there's a way, I'm convinced now, especially in today's world with the internet, I think there's a way to make money at anything. And there are people out there who are not as talented as you, not as knowledgeable, not as kind-hearted. Some of them just have the narcissism to do it without offering anyone anything, and they're making a killing. So I think the willingness is to get into the active dabble, but also to do it uncomfortable. It is not going to be possible to take action and not feel, especially if you're not narcissistic, if you do like most of us, we're women, we know our value, but at the same time, we can doubt ourselves. You're going to have some self-doubt. There's going to be a voice and a part in there saying, you're not ready, or what are you doing? Or right? You're going to embarrass yourself. And maybe you will a little bit along the way.
Maybe you will. And the other piece of it that for me personally, that has come together over the last 5 years, maybe for me, maybe even like shorter term than that, like the last 2.5, 3 years, is you have to grow your capacity for work. I know we've talked about this before, but if you don't trust yourself, if you don't think you can do something or like pay attention for long enough. I mean, people's focus in today's world is like
Mine's
is
shot. I can barely
precious.
read a book anymore.
I mean, I bought the like little cube timers for ADHD where it's like I'll set it for like a 50-minute work block or a 25-minute work block just to get like focused work done.
Yeah.
But over the period of like 2 or 3 years, this podcast is a great example. Doing certain trainings and programs that I've done and the freaking real estate, learning the real estate stuff or the mortgage stuff. Like I've grown this capacity for work. And it's like, if you don't trust yourself that like you can get something done, you have to start somewhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's like the first little unit you build is like, can I direct my attention somewhere for a sustained period of time?
Yeah. And also discipline, right? No one wants to talk about discipline anymore, but it's a hugely important quality that we have, that some of this does need the ability to work hard and grind. But you can't get to any of that if you're not willing to put yourself out there. And this is, I do think that distress tolerance, the willingness to embarrass yourself. I'll give you an example with very exciting news that I've now posted all over the world. So I found out, I told you this, that my TEDx talk is supposed to get picked up by TED. Like I've seen the email, thank you, with my own eyes that they sent to USFSM, which is where I did my TEDx talk, saying we're going to pick this up and distribute it as an editor's pick. It's going to go out to 42 million subscribers. I mean, that makes me so happy that my talk will get out there, the message reaching more people. And of course, it's great for my book because my talk, Secrets of a Couples Therapist, is really about what my book's about. Speaking up and using your voice, no matter what's going on in your relationship, and the right way to do it. Okay, so I got all excited. I don't know when it's coming out. I wrote about it in my Substack. I've like posted about it online. And then I was like, oh my God, like anything, it's not done till it's posted. Right?
What if they change their mind?
Yeah. I mean, they
They're
could.
Like, oh, we've edited yours out.
Yeah. Or like anything could happen. They could until it's posted. And then I was like, God, I should have waited. Like I got too excited and I was like, guess what, world? And then I was like, you know what? So what's the worst case? First of all, that's just like fear and paranoia. It's probably going to be fine. And I'm sure it's going to get posted, although it can take a long time. Like I've heard that it can take months for them to actually post your talk. But you know what I also realized? I had a lot of like almost like shame and embarrassment that it would be so humiliating. First of all, nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention to my life, right? Like I might feel that way a little, but not really. I just decided, oh, well, like if it for some reason doesn't happen, that would be such a bummer. I think the biggest part isn't people like friends. It's that I told my editors and I would feel embarrassed in front of them if it doesn't happen. But oh, well, maybe next time, maybe there's a lesson in it that next time, maybe I save this great news till something like that comes to fruition. But at the end of the day, even though I will feel a little bit of embarrassment if that happens, like it's not going to kill me. I can survive being embarrassed. I think if you don't have that though, and that gets built.
Yeah. And I do not have that. Like, I think that I am so embarrassment sensitive. Like this is such an inborn thing to me. Like I am so cringe sensitive. And I see it in my children. I have one son who like will say to his father, like, don't talk when we go in here. Like, don't say anything. Like he can't stand the way my husband interacts with people sometimes. And it's like, because he's so embarrassment sensitive. And I'm like, I have that. I have
that
like,
too, Laura. I have that too.
I have it in like spades. Like,
okay,
I have it to the point.
I do too.
I feel like you're so far beyond me in this. Like it appears to be that you're far beyond me in this.
Okay, but I think that is the point I'm trying to make. With these things, I feel like I too didn't do some of this stuff earlier because of that embarrassment sensitivity. I mean, I remember moments of embarrassment that were almost traumatic from being 6 years old. Like, I am
I do
embarrassed
too. I wonder if this
very
is like,
easily.
do you think this is like more of a woman thing?
Probably, but I also think some of it is just personality.
Yeah.
And I think being a highly sensitive person, I feel more deeply. I'm plugged into all the nuances of things. I will feel great embarrassment if I feel like I said the wrong thing that maybe offended someone. Like, I'll ruminate over that. So I think what I want to say to you guys, our listeners, is that if someone like me who is so embarrassment sensitive can build more capacity to tolerate embarrassment, and I'm not saying that if something goes wrong with my TEDx talk or my book, I'm not going to like die 1,000 deaths of embarrassment. I will, but I have more confidence that I can like move through those unpleasant feelings and get to the other side. And I think you have to have some willingness. We feel so self-conscious. It's the spotlight effect, which means it feels like the eyes of the world are on you. When I started posting on social media, which is something I would not be doing if it were not for my book, I would have thought me 5 years ago would have thought someone like me, like, oh my God, like, get over yourself, like, stop posting, go home, like,
Yeah.
enough of you. And I still have to deal with that cringe, but it is the way of the modern world. It's what you have to do to market yourself. It's how you have to build an audience. So I'm doing it. And I just ride through the cringe. And I think the only way to get better at dealing with embarrassment, self-consciousness, and cringe is to actually do these things
Yeah. And do them
you
badly.
and do them
And
bad or
tolerate
do
it.
them right. Like, sometimes they go well and sometimes you do. I told you, someone said, like, why is your face so long? Someone else I posted said it's time for a rhinoplasty.
What is wrong with people?
I
Right?
know, my poor nose. It's so mean, but like, whatever you wherever you are today, you'll get better at handling it through action.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So,
the only way.
so what are we saying here? We're saying
Okay.
build the capacity for work. Start before you're ready.
Yes. Let it be messy. That action and that active dabble, again, we talk about this all the time, but we can't say it enough. That is the only way to get more clear about what it is you do want, what you like and don't like, how it works, and the only way that you can build confidence.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I don't know if I haven't said it enough, like there's been such like alchemy to like working together. Like it's like going to the gym with a friend or like
Yes.
having somebody you're accountable to. Like there's no way I would have gotten this thing off the ground without working with you. Like
I
it's
agree.
just we work well together. I'm so used to working your way now. I'll never forget when we first did paperwork together. Do you remember that
No.
back when we worked at the on Park
Oh,
Avenue
for the
and we did
divorce group.
no, we did like intake paperwork for
Oh,
our
yeah, yeah.
practices.
Yes.
And I thought I was going to go over to your place to like work on this for like an hour. And oh my God,
What
like
happened? I don't remember what happened.
it was such a process. Like your process is so unique. Like
How so?
you just like type everything out and you're like, you really think about it. And you're like, do you like that indentation? Do you like that? Do you like that color? Do you think that that should be a space between here? And I'm just like, oh, fucking God. Like, I was like, we were like 5 hours later. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we're still working on it.
That's
And
when I lived at Lake Lily.
yes,
I do
yes.
remember.
And I just was like, oh my God, she's so thorough and like intense. And now I just understand that when we're going to do something, it's going to be like, we're going to throw it all out there. We're going to refine it.
And
And
it's
so
going to
it's
be
just,
intense.
yeah, it's going to be intense and it's going to take a while. That's the other thing I want to say while we're on this subject is
Yeah.
this is all going to take longer than you think.
Yep.
You
Yep.
think you're going to get something done in a month or something. It's going to take longer, but it's okay. Like, I think the work works on you more than you work on it sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing.
Yeah. And we've learned so much from doing the podcast. Things that were challenging at the beginning aren't challenging anymore. And now we're on to new challenges. We're starting an online group based on a group that we've run in person called the Midlife Master Class. So we'll have info about that coming soon at insightsfromthecouch.org. If you want to check that out. It's really a group about what we're talking about today, actually getting into action and really knowing and understanding yourself so that you're not getting in your own way. And it doesn't really matter if what you want is to start a podcast or start a new business or write a book or develop a new hobby, like take up painting, right? Or become a runner. It does not matter what it is. It's about activating your best self at this stage of life because life is so short and we don't know how long we have. And to look back and have regret, right? That's the top 5 regrets of the dying, according to Bronnie Ware, the hospice nurse who sat with people for years on their deathbed. The number one thing they all said is, I wish I had lived my life for me and done what I really wanted. So this is about, you don't have to achieve great heights unless that's what you want. It's about living the life you want. And as women, we have so much put on us, so many expectations, so many messages, so many people we have to take care of. We're not saying drop all of that, but we are saying make space for yourself and figure out what fills you up before it's too late.
Amen. That's what we're saying.
Yes. So check out our website, insightsfromthecouch.org. And also what we want to do for this next year is really get a lot of feedback from you in terms of your questions. We want to answer those in our episodes. So write us an email at info@insightsfromthecouch.org. Topics you want to hear about, questions you have for us. We may even do like a grab bag episode where we just answer your questions as therapists. Obviously, we can't do therapy on air, but we're open to any and all questions. So please reach out to us. And we're so grateful.
Yeah, we are grateful. But we also want to hear where you're stuck. Like, let what we do, and we see lots of people. And so we have like a really broad base of like experience in this, and also we like are living this firsthand all the time.
Yep.
So
we're
like,
doing the same things you're doing.
Let us
because we get stuck all the time too.
Stuck all the
time. But that's the thing, right? Women coming together, good, supportive, empowering women who aren't competitive or bitchy, women who want to lift each other up, that we all succeed together and that we have an abundance mentality, meaning there's room at the top for everybody. Like, we don't have to cut each other down. We can all lift each other up. And I really mean that. I mean, that's such a backbone of our friendship, is that we support each other. We encourage each other. We're happy for each other's successes. And frankly, those are the only kind of women I'm interested in knowing. And I think that's really our goal with this, is to have a community. So talk to us, let us know where you're stuck, what you want to know, what you want us to talk about. And we're going to really look forward to this next year. We're so grateful to everyone for listening. I don't think we ever imagined that the podcast would do as well as it's done. And thank you to everybody for joining us.
Yay. Next year will be even better.
Yes. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Don't forget to check out insightsfromthecouch.org. I had to think about what our website was there for a minute because brain fog is still real at menopause. And thank you all again. We'll see you next week on Insights from the Couch.